Well, hello. I'm so happy to be with you right now. Have you been feeling the times of great change? Have you been feeling the shifts? Have you noticed the people around you getting a little edgy, getting a little maybe sometimes reactive, or maybe pulling away and retreating? That's what actually spurred this entire 21-day event called Finding Peace in Times of Great Change. This is a time of huge change. We've got massive systems shifting all over the world, and systems of government, systems of education, the how we treat the environment. I mean, everything is like a moving target. It's like all the cards are up in the air. And so recently, in the last 12 months, I actually did a did a TEDx talk, and that TED talk was all about how in these times of great change, uh, we can feel overwhelmed, we can feel powerless, we can feel like it's all so much that where do we even begin, right? And the biggest thing here is that we're not alone, first of all. What I'd love to do is ask everybody who's joining us right now in the comment field in whatever streaming platform that you're on, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or live or LinkedIn or Instagram, just type in your name and where you're hailing from, where you are right now in the world, just so we can all get to know each other a little bit. We've got a couple of Canadians already saying hi. Um, what I wanted to share is that on one day, I had someone near and dear to me just absolutely freaking out about what was going on in the world. And don't worry, I'm watching all of you as you're commenting on where you're from. And then on the same day, I was in the store and in Whole Foods, and this woman was she was just anxious. She looked like a deer in the headlights. Um, and it's because we live in Asheville, North Carolina. If you have been keeping up on that news, we just had a massive incident of flooding in a hurricane in a place that never gets hurricanes. Hello in the UK. Hi, Tennessee. Hi, Salt Lake City. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody in Canada. So as I was just feeling the vibe of the store, and then someone near and dear to me, and then I had someone around work just absolutely overwrought with being triggered by some internal family stuff. And I thought, this is an inordinate amount of people really feeling as though they're overwhelmed by life itself. And I knew at that point that I needed to actually do something. I didn't need to do anything. There was no need, actually. It was more like a little inspiration or a calling or a tug. That sense of urgency you get inside, like, I could do more, I just don't know where to start. And so I asked myself this question. I'm asking everyone to breathe right now and ask themselves this question, because we're going to kind of launch today by having you give a response in the comments, or if you're writing notes, to the question, what is the greatest thing that you can do? This is the question I was asking myself, which comes from that TED Talk. I really recommend that you watch it. It was not what I expected to be saying in a TED Talk, quite frankly, but it was about these times of great change. And I thought to myself, what is it that is the greatest thing I can do with the least amount of effort, given that it's the skills I already have, that would make the biggest difference, that would make the biggest difference, have me waking up inspired and going to bed knowing that I did, what I came at this point in what's going on in the world, did what I came to do. Ask yourself that question for a moment. If you've never asked yourself that question, it'll be a certain experience. If you have been asking that question and you feel the sense of urgency inside, like, I'd love to be able to contribute, or I'd love to be able to do more, or I don't know where to begin, then this is the place for you. Now, normally every day we're going to be about, I would say, between 11 and 15 minutes. Today will probably be closer to 15 minutes because I want to take you through an exercise as well as kind of giving you a context for what we're doing. But every day for 21 days, knowing that there are things going on out there in the world, not to activate them too much, but things like a big election in the United States, things like wars going on in places that we weren't prepared for, ecological things like what happened in Asheville, which is where I live. And I really had this sense that the cards being in the air make our sympathetic nervous system a little overwhelmed, like our live stream right now, a little overwhelmed, a little shaky, a little off. And what happens then is it feels like the earth underneath us is moving, even if it's subtle. And yet, when we're centered and grounded, that's when we actually get clear on what there is to do today. Whether that's to bring groceries to someone who can't get them, or whether it's to let someone in front of you on the highway, or whether it's to, you know, join a movement. It doesn't matter. But from a place of being overwhelmed, what we do is that part of our brain called the reticular part of our brain wants to protect. It wants to control. It wants to take care of number one and nobody else. It's not about giving from overflow. And in order to, what I've seen in Asheville, North Carolina, is that this has always been a community of people who are bridge building badasses. This is a place where people step in for each other. Western North Carolina is Appalachia, and in Appalachia, even the people that have been here a long time, they all took care of each other. So it already had that spirit. And Asheville epitomized and epitomizes that in these times with the hurricane and everything that's happened. And I was on a board meeting the other day, and everyone on the board of this organization called CCLD in Asheville, Conscious Center for Living and Dying, we all said, we don't want this feeling, even though a disaster caused the amplification of all of us coming together, we really don't want this feeling to go away, because it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you are. People were still barbecuing everything that was in their freezers because they had no power. And whole communities were getting to know each other that didn't know each other before. And people were helicoptering in water and were rebuilding roads that were complete strangers to each other and helping each other and making this world here an amazing place to be despite the decimation. With all of the change in the world, I knew that something was calling me, and I realized that 21 days of being centered, actually coming back home to what we know and who we are, Finding a place to ground, finding a place of community would be so important while we're moving before an election in the United States, because it's going to affect the whole world, and after, because who knows what's gonna happen then too. This isn't just for Americans, it's for everyone, because these changes are happening everywhere. There isn't anyone that can escape the environmental shifts. So how do we come together in the spirit of Asheville, North Carolina, and pay forward? Oh, didn't expect to be moved by that, but it is pretty moving. And pay forward the spirit of that incredible energy of what's possible when we are grounded and centered. This is not this is not for any there's no politics here, there's no spiritual affiliations here, there's no this is for everyone. So what we're going to do for the next 20 days, because this is the first day, is I'm going to bring in sometimes some guest speakers to do some exercises to take you through something that will actually bring you back into your body, or dissipate the stress, or have you get clear, or have you get focused, or have us all feel connected, or grieve. We're specifically going to do some stuff on the November 6th to actually clear the decks so we can create what's next. You know, we've got somebody here that's from the neck of the woods where the war is in Ukraine. So we have people from all over the world. By the way, if you haven't said where you're from in the world, make sure you type it into the comments. A lot of the people that I am going to bring forward to you are incredible visionary leaders from Asheville, North Carolina, and some people from other places in the world. There's people from India, there'll be people from United States, people from Canada, somebody from Australia. So there'll be lots of really cool people, and there'll be a surprise on the last day. This is a journey of we're all in this together. And this is a journey of transcending those that would benefit from pulling our energies apart. And this is a journey together of actually staying focused after having lived through everything that's gone on here, staying focused on what actually matters versus the things that are distractions, so that you can be your piece of the puzzle of of heaven on earth. So where do we begin today? So every day, somewhere between, it'll be between 11 and 15 minutes. We'll sometimes have guests, sometimes we won't. For the first little bit, it'll just be me. Where you can find your registration is on LinkedIn or on Facebook, on Instagram. Every day there'll be a new link for the event. If you're telling your friends and family to come join us, then ask them to go to facebook.com/wide awakening, and they can get the updates every day. We will be making an announcement in a few days about how we can make sure that all of you get the details every day, but we'll be here at 5:55 every day. You can watch the replays on our YouTube channel. I'm sure that will be posted shortly. Hi, Carrie in Bermuda. So glad you're here. You've had your share of stuff happen there too, where people have come together, I know. And Katerina's in Estonia, just near Ukraine. So our YouTube link was just placed in the comments. So make sure you go there to actually watch the replays if you're not there every day. And we're about to do our first process. So everybody breathe. Everybody breathe. Now imagine that you could take your consciousness and you could unplug it from life out there and you could actually bring it behind your eyes. Like you could literally take it from the awareness of everything all around you, which is a way of being that's very associated with protecting and making sure you control what happens to you. But imagine that we bring our consciousness just for these 5 minutes behind our eyes and bring it into our body. And imagine that the instant that you do that, just as we breathe again, like breathing your consciousness behind your eyes, breathing the you that is you behind your eyes. Imagine that the instant that you do that, your connection to the outside world, your connection to what was going on around you, your connection to the things that you've worried about, your connection to the things that you're like on high alert about, the instant you bring your consciousness into your body, there's no anchor for all that stuff anymore, and it literally imagine that it floats miles or kilometers away depending on where you are in the world. It just all leaves. And imagine that it almost gets caught in its own beautiful hurricane, but the eye keeps getting bigger and you're in the middle. And eventually you can't even see where it went. And as we all sit or stand or lie, depending on where you are in the world, imagine that you're at a point, a 0 point, a powerful point, a beginning point of what's possible when we're not being pulled by anything, pushed by anything, influenced by anything, distracted by anything. We're just actually right here, right now. Whether you're in Amsterdam like Janny, welcome, or whether you're like me in Asheville, North Carolina. So as we take our consciousness, our self, our I am presence behind our eyes, there's no more anchor and the world goes away. As the world goes away, imagine that everything that pulls you, pushes you, distracts you, also has no anchor anymore, and so it just starts to float far, miles, kilometers and kilometers away. And what you're left with now, without anything pulling or pushing, is this 0 point of all of us being connected in this experience. That right now, all of us that are interested in solutions, all of us that are interested in the sense of urgency inside, that there's something more to life, all of us that know that dividing is not the way, all of us that know that on the heart level we're all connected, all of us that know that something possible for humanity has already been birthed, all of us that know that in this moment right now, on all of the planes of existence that aren't 3 dimensions, there is no separation. Just let yourself be available to the connection that we each have to each other to begin this 21-day experience as a way to set the context. Imagine right now, maybe as you breathe, your eyes closed, and maybe even your arms are reaching out to the sides, and somewhere in that metaphysical plane, somewhere when we dive down beyond the cellular level and the molecular level and the atomic level, we go into the subatomic level where literally there are no physical forms. This is a scientific journey. It's not a spiritual journey, although it can be a spiritual experience. But at that level of the smallest particles in physics, the physical form disappears, and we literally are all in interaction with each other. And from that non-time space reality, you actually can connect with everyone from Amsterdam to Estonia, to Australia, to the UK, to Canada, to the United States, to Peru, to Costa Rica, to Hawaii. And that the landscape of geography is no longer physical geography. It's actually the common knowing, the common place where pure possibility lives, where we become interested in what brings us together, the 20% of things that bring us together, rather than the 80% of things that make us unique, just for a moment. And we let ourselves be filled by the fact that we love our children, or that we love sunsets, or maybe that we adore dolphins, or that we all have aging parents, or some of us have loved ones that have passed. Some of us have pets that have passed. This is where we join in common. Doesn't matter what skin color, what shape, what size, what height. And from this place, if you actually reach out your hands, imagine that on the plane, the geography of our commonalities in that subatomic space, in that geography, not the 3D geography, but in that geography, on that plane, we actually are meeting. We actually are coming together. It transcends political party. It transcends associations and affiliations. It transcends all of that. We all are made of the original guts that spilled into the universe, the original guts of atoms that made this beautiful planet flying through space at 66,000 miles an hour, where we as humans have a body, a meat suit that is animated by our beingness, our essence, our soul, if you will. And that from the place of, let's say, the craziness that we could be flying through space at 66,000 miles an hour right now, with an essence that is metaphysical pouring through a physical body. And we could literally have an experience where we could take that essence behind our eyes and just drop into the level that we are made of subatomic particles that can have the experience of our connection beyond this 3D reality. That's pretty cool. And from that place, we will be doing the rest of our 20 days. I'd love to see in the comments as you breathe through, just letting yourself feel the connection to one another all over the world. As you breathe that through, take 3 breaths. The first breath is the breath of just what a blessing to be able to connect to each other. I mean, how cool is that? Let alone just being on this platform being able to connect. The second breath is the breath of the future possibility of this coming together, no matter who you are or where you are in the world. Just breathe in the possibility, like what could possibly happen? And as you take the third breath, breathe your eyes open. Just breathe your eyes open. Let your eyes be opened and be available to perhaps an insight or something that's inspiring that you got, or something that you always want to remember from just having that experience. And we'll be doing something. We'll have a Sifu who's a Tai Chi master. We'll have, I mean, we have a doctor who is just a brilliant teacher of breath work. If you've never done that, it's amazing. We're going to have a dear friend who's going to help us use movement to get out the other side. But what insights did you get? Put it into the comments. I'd love to see. What do you feel right now? What's possible right now? What insight did you see? What did today give you? What did this communion give you? It's really about not being alone in these times of great change so that we have one place to come where we, you know, this is the answer to my question for me. I'd love to know the answer for you. What's the greatest thing you could do with the skills you already have that have you waking up inspired and going to bed knowing that you did what you came to the planet for? If that's what we start to unlock by the time we get to the end of our 21 days, I'll be so excited. And if all you got was some peace in these crazy times so that you could stay grounded and not be taken out by all the noise around you, even better. So this will be the first day today, and the last day will be the longest days. The rest of the days between 11 and 15 minutes, so budget for that. Know that we're actually always gonna leave this space better than when we came, and, I look forward to seeing you again. For those of you that have joined us late, you're gonna find the links every day. There's gonna be a link every day on social media. You'll be able to find it in our private community called Agents of Awakening, or you can find it on social media, facebook.com/Wide Awakening, or LinkedIn, I think it's /Jennifer Huff, okay? You'll be able to find it there, and the replays, if you want someone to catch this replay, you can share the YouTube. We want as many people from all over the world here so that we can all move through these times of great change, in love, in connection, in total capacity for whatever goes on, and that we actually grow bigger than our circumstances so that our circumstances no longer take us out, and we start not to be at the affect of everything that's around us, such that we become the ones that are able to build bridges. So, game on, my beautiful friends. Invite some people. Let's fly forward. And just so grateful to be here with you today. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you tomorrow at the same time on a different link. You'll have to go to your social media to get it, okay?